We're going to ride on board with Joey Haynes right here, our current leader. It's all going to unfold right in front of him.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's like a video game. Well, I mean, I say that, but you know what I mean. It just zipping past cars. It's like he's playing some arcade game there and just blasting past them one after another as they all wreck around him.
I mentioned how aggressive Hovdal was through the GTO traffic on the lap before, and here he's going to try to go around the outside, which he's already in the dirty air, and just barely hangs on to it. Bill with another poor exit out of turn one. You got to think the over-under has got to be coming at some point, but no. Neil Kemp's going to try the long way around turn two. What a battle here for the sixth place position. Neil Kemp has half a car over Bill Tyler, but they're going to take it side by side into the short break zone. This could be disaster right here, but Bill Tyler thankfully backs out of it.
Will he get both of these spots, or will it be Kimo or Gernot through the first corner, out of that one, and now it's going to be three wide as they come up to the next braking zone.
Watch Leno right here. He's going to have the best draft off the back of Kimo, but Gernot's going to take it wide around the outside. He's going to have great traction coming off of this corner.
Who's going to get the exit? That's going to be so critical. Oh, no, banging wheels.
We're almost to that point. Antonio Alvarez is 5 seconds back, so it's only going to be 4 cars. But my goodness, it's a 4-car fight now for the 7th position.
Oh, no, this is too wide through the gate. This doesn't work. well, Fabian Jungbluth is going to have to take a course cut. That's going to be a slowdown penalty. Aitor Sintes Galindo keeps on rocking. That's going to be Xavier Sanchez and Ross Banfield now taking it too wide on Aitor Sintes Galindo. He doesn't have a time to breathe out there.
Nobody has a time to breathe. Sintes Galindo fighting off the battle from Jungbluth. Now he's under pressure from Banfield. Xavier Sanchez looking on in the back, and Jungbluth is now caught up because of these guys going too wide. Everyone's a little slow right now. They've lost a full second and a half to Antonio Alvarez. Now it's almost going to be 3 wide into the braking zone for the next right-hander, and they make a little contact.
Just a little bit of contact puts 2 wheels of Banfield out on the dirt, and the defense of Aitor Sintes Galindo. Write this down. This is one for the ages, folks. He is still in that 7th position.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect. How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spider's in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
For the second time in 3 races, we'll see our competitors face off at a track that has not appeared on the series schedule before. Our first 2 races showed the lack of driving aids make these raw cars a bit tough to acclimate to. So will this mean this tight, technical Norwegian track will prove a serious challenge? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 3 of the Porsche Owners Club Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Rudskogen might be a bit more of a recent addition to iRacing, but it's also part of the base content. Well, that might mean that the drivers have gotten familiar. You may not have heard of this place before. Let's head to our track guide to learn more. Welcome to Rudskogen Motor Center. Located about an hour and a half south of Norway's capital of Oslo, the southerly placement allows for a much longer racing season than you'd expect in a Scandinavian country. At just over 2 miles, or 3¼ kilometers in length, the 14-turn track makes for a perfect lower to mid-level racing circuit. A nice amount of elevation change and some truly picturesque scenery makes it not hard on the eyes for fans, but retains a delicious amount of challenges for drivers. There's of course the obvious places for passes, such as into the sharp chicane of turns 1 and 2. But in spite of the long downhill stretch into 3, it's way too fast of a corner to try and overtake unless you're seriously brave. 7 and 8 include a frustrating triple apex sequence that rises, drops, and then rises again, all within what effectively becomes a single corner. There's also the tricky combination of 13 swift entry, then a seemingly never-ending final right-hander to dump you onto the main straight. With it being part of iRacing's base content, drivers are likely to get plenty familiar with this track, and they'll need to thanks to the very technical layout. But overall, it's easy to see why this is a popular destination for all Norwegian motorsports fans. One thing I will say, DJ, is I think this is one of the most scenic tracks that iRacing has added to the service.
Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous, Joe. To me, it is right up there with Phillip Island, but it is a very, very tricky track to drive, really with only one good overtaking opportunity, and that's going down into turn 1. Now, there is a potential to be able to send one going down into turn 3 as well, the long right-hander that kind of leads into the technical section of the track, but to be able to do so requires a lot of bravery and a lot of tenacity. But outside of that, this is really and truly a track where you've just got to keep everything together, keep all 4 tires on the black stuff, and not make a mistake. I think we're going to see a lot of drivers today trying to push the other drivers around them into making those errors. And if they're able to do that, they may get a place or two. But other than that, going to be pretty single file.
We'll watch and see who's able to keep away from those mistakes. But before we get to the racing, a quick reminder that this series is brought to you by Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. Now, as for the championship, now that we have 2 rounds down, there's actually a tie up at the top. Leighton and Johnson have a win and a second place each. Cigar Dewan barely has that third position over Michael Bolton, who managed to take the third place at the latest round at Hockenheim, and Dewan was unable to score in the latest round out there in Germany. Excuse me, he was only able to score 2 at the latest round in Germany, and hence that put him ahead of Michael Bolton, who did not show up for the first round in France. From there on down, it's naturally pretty tight, as you would expect, because it's still so early in the season. We're still trying to get a feel for who's going to be some of the major players, but so far, Leighton seems to have carried his speed pretty well into this season. What about the race details for today's event, DJ?
Well, Joe, it's going to be another one of our sprint races here for round 3. And as we said, that means it's going to be a 30-minute race out on track. And then everyone going to be driving in the fixed setups with these new Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars, which, as we keep harping on, no traction control, no ABS, very tricky cars to drive. And I think particularly coming through Sector 2 on this track, going to make things very difficult.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth through there, a lot of slow, fiddly corners that you're having to weave your way through, so it'll really test them. Leighton actually has the pole position right now, and it's by 0.8 of a second over Michael Johnson, which this is not that long of a circuit. It's just over 2 miles in length, so for him to have gotten that much of a gap is saying something about the kind of pace that Tom has found out here today. From there on down, it's pretty tight for that outside spot on the front row, because Jeffrey Schulam and Andrew Chinichi are currently less than 1/10 each behind Michael Johnson.
Yeah, they are, and so it's going to be some pretty close running there. I wouldn't be surprised to see if Leighton runs away from this a little bit, just considering the absolute pace that we know that Tom has and his ability to really dominate up at the front of the field. But we'll have to see how he's able to do once it gets into the race. Putting a quick lap around here is one thing, Joe, but being able to dominate and do it lap after lap after lap, that's a different thing entirely.
Yeah, that's a good point. And as we saw at Germany, there are times where we've had drivers who have got a little bit of pace on him. Michael Johnson beat him straight up back last time out at Germany, but he's going to have to be much quicker in the race to do that today. as we watch him come around the last corner. Kind of interesting how the last two corners and the first two corners are very, very similar with the way that they tend to have that little left-hand 90-degree turn right into a long, long right-hander. But I want to stay with him to talk about the turn that you mentioned during the intro. Turn 3. This is coming up here at the bottom of this hill. This is a wild ride, and I love seeing this from onboards.
Yeah, it really is, Joe. You've got to chuck the car in, fling it to the right, and then start to get on the brakes right about as soon as you see that entrance curbing there. Very, very tricky to get right, and you've really got to diamond off the corner as much as possible. It requires a lot of trust in your car and a lot of very, very good inputs. You can't be putting the brake on too heavy while you've got too much steering lock in, or you're going to lose the car. The rear end is going to want to break away from you, so you've got to be very, very careful about it, but the only way to get good speed there is by absolutely attacking it.
Lots of elevation change around here, as you can see from Tom's perspective, just back and forth, up and down everywhere you go. And then it's going to even out for a little bit and finish up the lap here at the end. That looked a little wide. I think the lap probably is going to be deleted for him on this one, as it does have a lot of paved runoff in spots where you can wind up going beyond that limit. So it looks like he's maybe trying to late apex that last turn to really launch down for the start of the lap. And no, it actually did count amazingly at 22.6, but it just wasn't his quickest.
No, it wasn't his quickest there, so he's going to have to try to maybe get a little bit more here. Only about 4 minutes left to go in qualifying, so he's going to have to try to see what he can do here in the final runs. But again, with that 8.5 of a second advantage, 8 3/4 of a second, I got to say here that he's sitting pretty.
Absolutely. Down and across the line there for Dylan Scott. And he was not able to go quicker than his 23.3, although he was very close. And as he spins it out, he's going to have to start it all over again. Meanwhile, we're going to jump a little bit down the hill here to newcomer Andrew Chinichi, who we've seen a couple times before, but it's been a long time. And he's currently put himself onto the outside of the second row. So clearly adapting well to this Cup car, especially in this series with the fixed setup that they have with it. And is working his way through 8 and down towards the plunge past 9 into the hairpin of 10. He's got about 1/10 of a second over Jad Duncan, and I'm not seeing many positions switch around this late in the qualifying.
No, I'm not either, and I think that's a little bit of a result as the track getting worn in a little bit more, being a little bit more difficult to try to extract those lap times. It's kind of a statistic that we've seen carry on here in the Porsche Owners Club time and time again, that we get those early laps put in quickly and then they back off a little bit, and we don't see as fast times there coming in later on in the session.
Andrew doesn't look like he's on a fast one here. He's about 3 seconds down on his best time. So, yeah, that one got deleted. He must have had a little bit of an off somewhere in the process. Looking to see if anybody is on a flyer at this point. BJ Fulton actually just improved. He's up to 6 now with a 22.9. That puts him within just over a second from Tom Layton, but not many changes up ahead of him from here on out. Seems like they've really run the most that they can out of those cars at the sharp end of the field, which for Michael Johnson is not a good sign, since he's still those 0.8 of a second behind Tom.
Well, the good news here for Michael is that I wonder if he's going to be able to apply a little bit of pressure at the start of the race, maybe try to force Tom into an error, and that may be his way by. We'll have to see if that's going to work for him. We're going to have to see if that's his strategy, or if he's going to have to settle for second here. It's still a 30-minute race. There's plenty of time to break out in it, and we'll see what he's able to do.
Last lap at 23.3. Yeah, that's about 0.8, I think, off of his best time or thereabouts, unfortunately. So we come back to Chinichi, who is looking like he might be able to improve, coming around turn 14, down onto the front stretch, but getting really loose, somehow hanging on to it. And unfortunately, it looks like the lap got deleted. So somewhere along the line, it went bad for him there. So He's got maybe time for one more lap, but he just went off track just now, so this one definitely will not count.
Yeah, unfortunate there for him that one's not going to count for him as we continue along here, taking a look at the 83 of Chad Duncan as he comes out of that final corner. A very tricky corner here, Joe. You've got to be so patient on the throttle. It's so easy to pick up a little bit of understeer around there and let the car ride. Chad's going to come across the line. Looks like that's not going to be an improvement.
No, it will not. Schulem, excuse me, also a little slow on that lap, but Bolton's looking fast. And, oh, no, it is not. 24.4, so wasn't his best, unfortunately. Johnson crosses the line, but a 23.4 is also way off the pace. This is it. A lot of drivers now starting their last flyer, so they've really got to try and put a good one down from here if they want to get any farther up on the timing sheets. Looks like Rondeau's not going to be able to do anything to his lap time. And, yeah, BJ Fulton looks like he's half a second off, so this is probably not going to be a good one for him. Does look like Dylan Scott might be on a pretty good lap here.
Yeah, I think he might be as we take a look at the 08 of Dylan right now as he comes down through the last couple of corners here. Again, some great elevation changes on this track. Really good compression and lifting of the car really makes it for a very difficult run. He's now coming down through the hairpin right now. Great little rise up the hill as you go. I really, really love the way that track runs are there.
Oh, and he's got a spinning car in front of him in the form of Michael Bolton, who was 0.8 up on his time before that moment. That has got to be gutting for him. Scott's also 0.8 up, I'm seeing right now. This is going to be a huge leap up for him. In fact, that'll probably put him into the top 5 if this is accurate. He's on to the front stretch with the checkered flag out. What's it going to be? 22.5. And that is up on the front row for the 08.
Wow, an impressive time there, proving me wrong, saying you weren't going to be able to improve later on in this race. He absolutely did and made it work a treat, Joe.
I think that is it for all of our drivers able to complete a lap from here. I believe everybody's done. We do have BJ Fulton, who looks like he is on pace, but I would have thought he had finished his lap by now. We'll see if he is able to make this count. If so, he will absolutely be the last one. Scott was only ahead of Johnson by 0.02 of a second, so he narrowly eked in there as Fulton's going to finish the lap, and it does count. What do you know? But it is not quicker than his 22.9. He was off by less than 1/10 of a second. He'll have to start from 8th, which means our grid is set here for our 3rd round of the season. And Tom Layton has taken another pole position. It's going to be Dylan Scott who starts next to him, coming in at the last moment in that qualifying to take that front row. Michael Johnson will be in P3. After that, it is Jeff Schulem starting 4th today, Andrew Chinichi in the 5th position, and Chad Duncan in 6th. Sagar Dewan, good enough for 7th. He did get a podium in the first round. Can he do the same here today? We've got BJ Fulton starting in 8th, Federico Del Toro in 9th, and Andrew Beckner good enough for a top 10.
In 11th place, it's going to be Matt Hollander, followed by Michael Bolton, with Mehmet Karasay and Mark Rondeau in row 7. Then Drew Twala will be in P15, followed by Corey Thiel, with Jacob Abrams and Larry Haas behind them. Larry Momeyer starts off in 19th.
So, pretty decent field here, especially for a track of this size. That should be plenty to keep them busy out there on the circuit. They're gridding up on the front stretch, rolling start here for these cars. So they'll have to do a full pace lap behind the pace car, and then they'll be let go for 30 minutes around this track. Who can make the most of this circuit that has not shown up on the schedule before here in the Porsche Owners Club Series? Back when they raced at France, the other one that was new this season, DJ, it looked like a lot of drivers were struggling. And I wouldn't say that it shares a lot of similarities to this one, but I got to think that we could see something similar today where the drivers maybe are just fighting the track more than they are each other.
Yeah, I think so, and I think Rudskogen here and Magny-Cours bear a lot of similarities. A very technical track, very difficult to try to get your way around, and I think that's what we're going to see. I think you hit the nail on the head, Joe.
All right, just waiting for Johnson and Schulem to grid up. Again, they can't do anything with the setup, so at this point he's just holding on and making everybody else wait while they get ready to go here this afternoon. It is relatively late with this being so far up north here in Norway. It's 5:30 in the afternoon virtual standard time. And of course, with it being a Nordic country, it's only 76 Fahrenheit on the track surface itself. Very short days when you get up here. In fact, I'd be curious, I'd almost be interested in maybe just doing a session sometime for fun, setting it on the winter solstice to see how little daylight it gets up here.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I hadn't considered that, Joe, but it might be a little bit of an interesting experiment to run, let us say.
Yeah, iRacing does indeed actually take that into account based on your location on the globe, that it can change the length of the day depending on what time of year you are in. I'm not even sure if this is the farthest north. I'll have to check that as well.
I believe it is. I looked it up the other day when I was doing some stuff for social media, and I believe it is the farthest north.
Oh, interesting. Well then, that settles that debate then, as they come around 3 and 4 and back up the hill. The lowest part of the circuit, I believe, is, what's this? John Momeyer was going nowhere for a moment. He just came to a halt, it looks like. So not sure if maybe he had some sort of hardware issue, or maybe had to make an adjustment in his physical cockpit and then was able to get going.
Well, one way or the other, he's going to be able to get himself back going around. His drivers now work their way through the last couple of corners. Not too much longer to go before we let these cars loose and we see what they're able to do.
Absolutely. Wonder if we'll see any attempts at passing down here into turn 10. It's a sharp little hairpin, just not that long of a run into it, but it's also downhill, so could see a few drivers overshoot as they try and get the car woed up into the braking zone there, and then it's back uphill into 11 and 12 here. I always thought this one, from my little experience on this track, is very difficult trying to get around that corner, just because of the blind entry with the curved braking. But we'll see how these drivers manage it as the pace car getting ready to head into pit lane. Entry is there, coming off the long right-hander, giving control over to Tom Layton as he waits for the signal. Ooh, there are some antsy drivers behind him, almost getting into the back of them there. Looking for the green flag, and there it is. Green flag is out, and they fan out immediately, going 3 wide, looking for it. Coming down into the first corner. It's going to get tight here as it's very sharp, but they've got runoff to the outside. A lot of drivers taking to that, and unfortunately, a little bit of coming together, it looks like, between Chinichi and Duncan.
Yeah, just a little bit of tapping there. Good job for Michael Johnson to be able to get his way by Dylan Scott there. And Scott losing positions here off the go as now they come down that hill into that plunging corner that we talked about. Got to be very, very careful. Tires aren't fully up to temperature here yet, and you've got to watch out that you don't blow the corner.
Matt Hollander, great under braking up through there as we watch our lead two, Layton and Johnson, starting to pull away from the rest of the field. Schulem has managed to pass Chinichi for third position as well. And we see them almost side by side, coming down 9 and into 10. Big look here from Andrew. Is he going to be able to make it? Tries to get it woed up. Both of them go too deep, and that's going to send Schulem out into the tire barrier.
Oh, and they're off into the out there as well is going to be Dylan Scott, who's blown out multiple cars around. I think that may be Michael Bolton.
Looks like Jacob Abrams also. You're right, Michael Bolton in the yellow and black, unfortunately. So that was a bit of a mess. Not the spot that I expected us to have those sort of problems. And then we've had further ones going with Andrew Beckner, and I think that was Matt Hollander.
Yeah, I think it was as well. Multiple drivers having some problems there, and they're going to have to regain themselves. I'm not sure who's all going to come down into pit lane here at this point, but lots and lots of drivers just finding themselves running afoul of the track.
Well, a bit of a messy second half to that first lap there. Beckner's coming into pit lane, unfortunately. He's got a black and orange flag, so he has to take a spare car from here. And here is that incident. Didn't get into each other. Both just went in too deep, and in the case of Schulem, completely lost control.
Yeah, I think it was just a combination there of drivers losing it. Michael Bolton, I think, lost the car due to a little bit of incident fixation there up ahead of him. As we take another look here coming down into the corner, there you can see, ooh, that was a blink there that caused a little bit of it. That explains a few things as well.
Is that Corey Thiel? I think getting banged around quite a bit there. It was trying to make it out. Yeah, I think that was in the mystery machine there, unfortunately. So just a lot of contact made. Mimic Carisay, in the meantime, did have a little bit of a spin just now. Don't need to get a replay of that, but I think we're going to take one more look at what happened coming out of turn 12. Once again, very difficult one. Two individual incidents, it appears.
Yeah, it looks like drivers here all just falling afoul of the circuit and having a big problem all the way around. But luckily, they're able to keep everything relatively woed up underneath them here as now we go ahead. But look at that lead for Tom Layton, already up to 1.8 seconds.
Yeah, massive lead there. Federico Del Toro fighting with Rondeau for 7th position now. They've spread out quite a bit because of those incidents on the first lap. And in fact, Beckner is already nearly a minute behind Tom Layton, so we could see a lot of lapped cars. Another problem now for what looks like the number 8 of Larry Haas.
Yeah, I think it is indeed Larry. Not entirely sure there what happened to him, but it just looked like he had a little bit of a problem. He's going to be able to gather everything back under him now and keep himself going around in 14th.
Meanwhile, looking at this trio of Del Toro, Rondeau, and now Schulem has caught back up to him, recovered well from his spin early on, and is trying to fight his way up through the field. He's lost 5 positions from the start. He's got 2 potential ones directly in front of him. We're going to ride on board.
Yes, we are, as here he dives down into the corner, trying to see if he's able to get a good getaway. Little bit of smoke getting kicked up there as he goes, and now into that very final corner, trying to see if he's able to get the best run as they go. Not really able to get the run that he would like to, but he's still going to be pushing ahead here, going to get a little bit of a draft.
They might be picking up another friend. The 82 of BJ Fulton isn't that far ahead of them. And then actually, yeah, Jad Duncan as well. So this could become a bit of a train. So we watch them wheel it around turn 2 onto the backstretch, running down to 3 and 4. Just can't seem to gun it off the corner. Schulem really loses out every time they accelerate.
Yeah, it looks like he's just a little bit tentative when he gets onto the throttle, and I think that may be a result of everything that we've talked about with these cars, that it's just a little bit of a difficult car to be able to get yourself up under control with, as now he flicks his way kind of through the technical sector of the track, through turn 8, trying to close up behind.
There you can see that train that I was talking about really getting closer to each other. Del Toro and Rondeau seem to be the closest here. That's Del Toro in the red 27 that you see. He's under threat as Rondeau kind of weaves back and forth, trying to size him up. A little bit of a defense from Federico down through 12, but he doesn't need it anymore because Rondeau loses control.
He loses it there, and again, that no traction control coming back to bite him as Tom Layton sets the fastest lap of the race. Taken away there by Andrew Chinichi. Some good times from our new contender here in the series.
Yeah, Andrew seems to be pretty quick. He's back up to that 3rd spot, and let's see if he can catch up to Michael Johnson. There he is on your screen now. Michael only 1.1 seconds up the road, so definitely within range, especially this early in the race. But they both have been losing time to Tom Layton, other than that last lap with Andrew taking the quickest one of the race. They're about 2.3 seconds behind Tom.
Yeah, they're really pretty far behind, but Chinichi's starting to close up here a little bit on Michael Johnson. There you can see that purple car up ahead of him. He took about a half a second out of him on the last lap, so he's certainly starting to close in, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him starting to threaten that 2nd place position before the race ends.
As we always say, though, it's one thing to catch, it's another to pass, and Michael's going to make it difficult, no doubt, if he does manage to get up to that rear wing So far, so good for the pair of them. Wonder if Andrew had a little bit of a better start, if he would still be up in that second position, because it almost seems like that was his downfall today, was just not quick off the line.
Yeah, and again, I think that comes as a result of the no traction control in these cars, that he's just a little bit tentative to get slamming onto the loud pedal necessarily. Shinichi, by the way, didn't set the fastest lap of the race last time around. That was Tom Layton, but he still was faster than Michael Johnson to the tune of about 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, he's now got it down under a second behind the number 9 car. This is one of our closest battles on the track, plunging into turn 3 and 4, past those beautiful cliffs here at this circuit. And then it just weaves back and forth in a series of S's that continue to climb all the way up. Watching from onboard, Andrew, really big crest right here as well as they get a long corner. I'm pretty sure I think there's about 3 turns here that are more than 180-degree radius. So it is a big test of the mechanical grip of these cars.
Yeah, really and truly is a slow and twisting track here. Very, very technical. I know, Joe, you and I had the chance to run on it in the Formula 4s, or the IRO 4s, excuse me. And, well, let's just say it was difficult. It wasn't the easiest thing in the world to do.
Yeah, I think I made up more positions just from cars spinning in front of me than actually passing anybody during that race. As coming off of the final turn, a little bit quicker still, but not as much as last time. Only about 1/10 faster for Andrew. So Michael now only 0.6 of a second ahead, and about 3 seconds behind Tom Layton.
Only about that. I've got to think if Shinichi's able to make this move relatively quickly, we could see a little bit of a scrap maybe for the lead by the end of the race. We're only about 20 minutes down here, so there could be time for that to play out. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, but still, here he comes down into the corners right now, closing up again on the back of Michael Johnson. Through Sector 1, he was able to take about 1/10 out. Let's see what he's able to get here through Sector 2.
Looked very strong under braking, coming up into 8 there. Let's see how he is into turn 10, as he's within 0.3 of a second. A little too far back to probably pass on this one, but they're both going to get it woed up nice and easy. It's hovering at about 0.5 now. Andrew maybe losing time off of that slow corner. I think we're starting to see exactly what I was just talking about. He's caught him, but now what does he do?
Well, I think he's going to run into a little bit of problem here with the aero wake in particular. It's going to come back to bite him through some of the faster corners on this track. This Porsche Cup car does generate a little bit of aerodynamic wash behind him, and so that's going to make things a little bit more difficult for him to try to get on by.
Absolutely, as they plunge into 1 and then switch back into 2 to try and accelerate off the corner. Ooh, Andrew, pretty good in that first couple turns. Looks like he's got a little bit of legs off that corner, but you talked about how scary it is trying to pass into here. Yeah, he's nowhere near attempting that, at least at this stage. Any closer than that, though, he might start thinking about it.
Yeah, he very well might. And again, he may have to send a little bit of a surprise move here. Michael's going to know where Andrew wants to try to send those moves. And so don't be surprised if he maybe tries to send a little bit of a sneak attack there up into turn 7. Certainly coming down here into turn 10, that's going to be an area where he definitely wants to try to make a move. But we'll have to see what Andrew's able to do.
And he is right on top of him, and he's been this way for some time. Definitely seems like he's been pretty quick here during the race itself. I almost want to say he's running a lot better in the race than he was in qualifying.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly may just be a case where he's kind of able to dig down and get the runs that he needs to get, and that's going to be a good thing for him. He now gets a great run there off the corner as Layton sets another fastest lap of the race. Let's see here what he's able to do on this lap, as he's been again able to bring that gap down under 0.3 of a second here.
Continues to just hassle him at every corner. Which kind of Michael Johnson do we have today? We've seen him buckle under pressure at times, and other times we've seen him just hold back incredibly fast runners. We've seen him beat Tom Layton on sheer pace a couple times. And today's not looking like he's going to be able to do that. We had, a bit of a spin there from, looks like Larry Haas.
Yeah, I think Larry had a bit of a spin there in the back. There you can see him. That looks like he just may have spun the wheels a little bit coming off the corner. You can kind of see the tire tracks there leading him around.
Yeah, trying to get it turned around here, and eventually he'll find a clearing as we come back to the battle between Johnson and Shinichi. This is up the hill into turn 12. We're going to watch them through that left-hander. Different lines between the pair of them, interestingly. Wonder if you're right, Andrew's trying to get a little air on that car. Whoa, as he nearly actually makes contact under braking into turn 14. And maybe he could pull a surprise attack, a sneak attack somewhere around here if he's able to get that close.
Yeah, if he's able to put that much pressure onto the back of Michael, it may be exactly what he needs to do. And like I said before, Michael's going to know where those main overtakes are going to come, down into turn 1, down into turn 10. And if Andrew wants to try to surprise him a little bit, it may be the run. Here he's got a good one, though, coming down into the corner. Let's see if he takes a little bit of a peek down into turn 3. Takes a peek, but no dice.
He's still got plenty of time, half this race left to go, and he's starting to get more and more aggressive, although the car's squirming around under power as he exits out of 4. So he's got to be careful that he doesn't abuse those rear tires too much. It's the other thing about that lack of driver aids, DJ. I got to imagine it's easy to overcook those rear tires.
Yeah, it's very, very easy to overcook them there if you're not careful. And so that's something he's going to have to watch out for a little bit, as he's going to want to try to make sure he doesn't make that mistake. Takes a little bit of a look to the outside coming up the hill. But that's not going to play out either.
Not quite yet. All he has to do is sit and stay patient for now. Wait for a mistake, and once again, looks like under braking, he's way, way better. It's just so narrow into turn 14. I'm not sure how he'd pull it off, but surely if he finds the right time and the right place, he could maybe send one up the inside as he thinks about it into turn 1 and then reconsiders.
Yeah, he certainly thought about trying to make that move there into turn 1. Didn't exactly get it to play, though. And now he's going to go. Michael runs a little bit wide. This could be the opportunity here that he needs.
This is the closest we've seen him down into 3 and 4. He's going to look to the inside. But, yeah, as I'd expected, Michael shuts the door on the way into the first apex. So that won't be it this time. But if Michael learned anything from there, I'm sure he knows he needs to be careful about that corner exit off of 2.
Yeah, I think he does as well, and he's really going to have to be careful to make sure he doesn't make another mistake like that, because even just the merest of mistakes, and rest assured that Andrew is going to absolutely pounce all over the back of him.
Still can't get it into turn 10. I know we've been following this for quite some time, but everybody else is spread far apart from each other. Leighton's still leading this race by about 7 seconds now. Way better exit there from Michael Johnson coming out of 12, and gives him a little bit of breathing room he's been desperately hoping for, I think, for the last few laps.
Yeah, he's going to be able to breathe here a little bit, calm himself down, and that's going to let him run. Tom Leighton, though, up the front of the field, just doing Tom Leighton things, and sets another fastest lap of the race.
Oof, this is going to be another stomping from him. It's a pretty short season this time around. Last time we went over the course of a full year. This time it's only going to go 6 months. It's cut in half, so it's a lot shorter, and that means that they will have to worry about the mistakes more so in this situation, since it'll be easier to lose out with one wrong step over a short season than it is over a long one where you can make it back up. And right now, Tom Leighton's doing everything he needs to do, but these two also trying to find some sort of chink in the armor here. And so far, Andrew's not been able to get it, although there's that look I was thinking might happen down at a turn 10. Just kind of showing himself in the mirrors, just wasn't quite close enough.
Yeah, and look what Michael Johnson did there, though. He stuck on his line, and he planted the car at the apex a little bit, just preventing Andrew from being able to send any sort of attack up to the inside or even looking for the crossover move. That was a very astute defense from Michael, and it shows you just how much experience the driver behind that purple number 9 has.
Looking from on board, the number 12 just ahead. He's very close this time. Still doesn't try and go for it, though. Once again, I thought that he would maybe try and stick his nose in a little bit. Can he stay this close off the corner? Maybe get a little bit of the slipstream. Both of them going wide as they come off the long right-hander of 2. But for the 12 car, it's not going to quite be enough.
No, it's not going to quite be enough, and I just noticed something, Joe. On the front end of that splitter of the number 12 on the driver's right front, there is just the merest tick of damage, and I wonder if that's maybe preventing Andrew. You can just kind of see it there, just slightly deformed. I wonder if that's really preventing him from getting the exact move that he'd like.
That looked like a little bit of desperation there for a moment through 6, 7, and 8. Car just kind of squirming around as he was overshooting the corner and didn't seem as in control as we've seen him before. Could he now be actually experiencing a little bit of wear and tear on those tires as he's been following in the dirty air of that purple machine for quite some time and has been fighting aggressively to try and find a way by?
Yeah, he's been throwing absolutely everything he can there to try to get on by, but it's just not playing its way out for him whatsoever, as he is certainly trying to do whatever he can. Bigger gap here as Michael Johnson's able to pull out a 2/10 advantage over lap 13.
Haven't seen a lot of big movers in this race, which you'd kind of expect, but the one who holds the most positions gained right now is Mark Rondeau. He's up 5 spots from where he began in 14th. So nicely done to him to be able to make up for what is a very difficult to overtake track. And out of turn 4, Andrew backing off maybe a little bit, maybe giving some space, collecting himself, try to size things up and try again for a hard charge later. Well, or right now as he closes in down through 7 and 8, and then coming off the corner, I saw a little wheel spin from Johnson. So did Chinichi. He's going to look to the inside. This time he's going to get there. Little bit of rubbing between them, and Michael somehow out accelerates him off the corner and defends.
A very stout defense. Chinichi tried to go around the outside there of turn 12, but it didn't work. Locked up the brakes, and now he's going to have to try it all over again here in the final 10 minutes.
I can't blame Andrew for really chucking it in down there at turn 10. He knew that was probably going to be his best chance all race long, but look at the gap that it lost him. He's now over a second behind him. So I think that gives us an opportunity to turn the cameras elsewhere now that they've finally separated for the first time almost this entire race.
Yeah, it's certainly been a good scrap there between the two of them, and now we can give some love up to our leader, Tom Layton. His gap almost 10 seconds here, Joe.
Got a bit of a battle for 15th here as Momeyer finds Andrew Beckner right behind him. Beckner's lost a lot of spots. He's basically on a recovery drive at this stage and has closed in on the number 6 very quickly. Now he gets to experience what Andrew did for much of the race, or Andrew Chinichi experienced for much of the race, and tries to find his way past his rival.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty long road for him here, but let's see if he's able to do it. Beckner's going to try to push here a little bit on the back of him as they come onto the main straightaway. Let's see if Momeyer's able to handle this pressure coming up from behind from the 155.
Lost a little bit since we first joined this, breaking down into turn 1 as they work their way through the left and then the right, down the deep plunge off the hill here, gaining some of the time back. Beckner back to about 0.3 of a second behind Momeyer. Not going to be able to do anything here past the cliffs and into turns 3 and 4. So maybe going to set himself up for turn 10.
And let's see if he's able to do it, as now they're going to come up this little rise here as they work their way up through the S's. Such a great little rhythm section of this track. Somebody in front of them had a little bit of a problem, as there you see he's closing up behind Momeyer. I think he's going to have a look down into turn 10.
Didn't quite get the acceleration that he needed down the hill. He still shows himself in the mirrors, comes back to the racing line. and is getting close to him. Ooh, almost undercuts him off the exit of the corner, staying defensive to the inside. Momar trying to keep him from getting the advantage, parks it at the apex, and Beckner can't do anything.
No, he cannot. Great defense there from John Momeyer, certainly being able to keep up everything there. And he is now going to have to try this once again, as it looks like there that Beckner got a little bit of a better run off that final corner.
Ooh, his Mehmet Karasay just had a problem through turn 1. Excuse me, it looks like he spun himself around there, and as close as it was, unfortunately, it's not going to be a pass for Beckner. He's got to get around him soon, though. Ooh, he's going to try it here, maybe into 3. He's thinking about it. They're coming up behind Karasay. He's going to outbrake him down into the right-hander, and a little lockup from Momeyer is going to seal the deal. Nicely done by Beckner. I was about to say he's got to do it soon, because they're about to be lapped by Tom Layton.
Yeah, they are. As they've got to be careful, as Layton could put them a lap down, and it could really, really throw them off, cause a big, big problem for them. As this is such a narrow track, even trying to get out of the way there for him could lead to a big problem.
Indeed. Beckner still has a lot of positions to make up and not much time to do it now with only 7 minutes left. Karasay about a second up the road for him. And look at this. It's back on once again. And once again, he's going for it down into turn 10, managing to get to the inside a lot cleaner this time. But the inside's going to go back to Michael Johnson up into turn 12. Can he seal the deal? Can't turn down to the apex on him as Johnson is still there. Wheel to wheel, they continue on into 13. And no, he's going to get denied.
He's going to look for a little bit of a crossover move here coming down through the final corner, but Johnson again deftly defends, able to hold him off, and Johnson's going to hold on to P2 for now.
Great stuff from Michael Johnson. I thought for sure that Andrew finally had that one done, but the 12 just couldn't get the car fully past him in time. 6 minutes left to go on the clock now. So we have maybe 4 or 5 laps before this is all said and done.
Yeah, not a lot of time left, and rest assured, Shinichi's going to know that. Takes a little bit of a wider entrance there into 3 and 4, trying to carry as much speed as possible. But again, Johnson just parking that car at the apex, preventing himself from getting overtaken.
Oh, and he gets into the back of Johnson. Just a little hello up and over turn 7. And I'm sure Johnson did not appreciate that one, but again, Shinichi looks like he starts to get more and more antsy as time goes on, a little more aggressive as he tries to find opportunities or create opportunities here.
Yeah, certainly does, as he's trying to push his way around here. Shinichi just looking this way, looking that way. You can sense the desperation here out of the number 12. He wants to get on by.
And he knows that he's quicker in certain spots, but none of those spots have been places where you can usually make passes. Wow, great exit there from Johnson, using up the track and then some. I think he always says that if he's got incident points left, he's going to use them up. So I wonder if that's what he's doing now, since they have 17 incidents before they are given a drive-through penalty. And this is getting him much farther ahead of that 12 car. Oh, we had a battle that was brewing in the back, and Dylan Scott, unfortunately, has ended that one with a spin into turn 6.
Yeah, tough day out here for Dylan. He qualified so well, now finds himself much down through the order. This is going to be a day to forget for him, I think, but a very, very strong debut, and I've got a sneaking suspicion that that's going to be a name we continue to talk about.
Yeah, certainly has qualifying pace, but after starting on the front row, not even going to be in the top 10 unless something dramatic happens from here. Meanwhile, Rondeau versus Bolton for the 9th position. Rondeau still the hardest charger with 5 positions gained. Can he hold on to that 5th position, or will Bolton be able to deny him that and dump him down one as they come out of turn 4? He's right on top of him.
Right on top of him here. Let's see what he can do about it. Again, so difficult to actually get a move done around here, but he's going to try for it as they plunge down the hill.
Patience seems to really be key at this track because of the difficulties in passing other cars. So he's going to have to set himself up well Maybe trying to square it off, or did he just go deep into there? I think he just went a little deep, unfortunately. He's not as close as he was before. But being able to late apex one of these corners will probably pay big dividends if he could just find the traction somewhere.
Yeah, it certainly will, as now Rondeau tries to just focus on the road ahead of him, not having to look behind here too terribly much, as now they come out of that final corner, crossing over the line with about 3 minutes to go, and it's going to be a close run here for him.
And not quite there. They just came to 3 laps to go that time across the line. And these guys, likewise, are going to be coming to 2 to go pretty soon as they head towards the braking down at turn 10. Michael's going to chop him off, but this time he gets spun around. Andrew waits. Is he going to redress the position? It looks like he will. Michael, though, is struggling to get going. Cigar Dewan is catching up to the pair of them, and the 501 could get his second podium of the season here.
Yeah, he certainly could. My goodness gracious, everything come into play here.
Absolutely. And, well, this is going to be difficult for Andrew. If he gives the position back, it'll make him very vulnerable to Cigar. And he's going a little bit to the outside here. Still don't see him completely giving it back. There it is. He lifts a little bit on the straight and gives the spot back to Michael.
All right, gives him back. Good sportsmanship there being shown, as they always do. I love to see that among the drivers as they run. And now Cigar's going to try to close in a little bit more. This could be an interesting 3-way fight towards the end.
This is such a tight-knit group of drivers. They spend a lot of time talking to each other. Many of them race together in real life as well. And they obviously have a lot of respect for each other, so they don't want to make things by ill-gotten gains as they weave up through the S's once again towards 7 and 8. And Michael Johnson still holding the advantage over Chinichi. That's 3 times now that he's attempted it into turn 10. Does he do something different to see if he can catch him unawares?
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, he's running out of time here to be able to do it. Let's see what he's able to get done. They come up the hill here. He has a little bit of a peak. It's not going to be able to go now. He's going to have another little bit of a peak as they come into the left-hander. Almost contact.
Yeah, there you go. I was going to say he's got to start trying things that that Michael is not expecting here as he gets right up underneath that rear bumper. 1 lap to go. White flag has already been given to Tom Layton. Now these two are going to get it.
Yes, they are, as here they go now, taking a look to the inside, trying to see what he's going to be able to do, trying to see if there's anything to be had. Is the number 12, trying to poke his nose to the inside, now trying to diamond off the corner a little bit, Joe.
Right there, just could not make it stick, unfortunately. Weaving around some of the lap traffic. Could he use that as a pick somewhere along? Not this time at the very least, as unfortunately the timing just wasn't meant to be. So look at how wide he is swinging it out of 4, though.
He is doing everything he can do, trying to take every inch of the track. I love it. I respect it. Come on, Andrew.
This is well behind Tom Layton because of that spin that they had and him giving the position back. There's Tom right now, who comes around the final corner. Tom Layton back to his dominating ways after a tiny hiccup in Germany. Norway sees a winner in Tom Layton here for round 3 of the Porsche Owners Club Series.
A great Tom Layton-esque drive here for Tom Layton. Absolutely pixel perfect, Joe.
It's not over yet here for Andrew. Could he maybe square off the corner, get the launch, and maybe outgun him past the start-finish line? Is there enough? He's trying to go for it. It's just not there. Incredible defense from Johnson over Chinichi to take second.
A great run for Michael Johnson. I've got to commend that defense. That was absolutely spectacular. He knew exactly where to place that car.
Rondeau still our driver with the most positions gained in this race, in that 9th place. So just inside the top 10, and only 12 cars are going to wind up on the lead lap. If Matt Hollander can make it to the end, why is he going slow here? He shouldn't be out of fuel because they have a fixed setup in this series.
Yeah, they do. I'm not sure what's going on here, Joe. This is a little bit of a surprise.
Very strange situation. Well, maybe we'll only have 11 finish on the lead lap then. That's going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect. How's it going, Sally?
Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going?
Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Welcome back to Rudskogen Motor Center for round 3 of the Porsche Owners Club Series. Tom Layton had it all his own way, led from start to finish and was never challenged, as Michael Johnson finished in second, starting from third, but man, he had a hard time holding back Andrew Tanici, who took the last step of the podium. Cigar Dewan was fourth today, as Jad Duncan was fifth, and then BJ Fulton wound up sixth. Federico Del Toro up 2 spots to take P7. Jeff Shulam was eighth, and hardest charger Mark Rondeau went from 14th to 9th. Michael Bolton rounds out your top 10.
In 11th, it was Drew Chwala, followed by Matt Hollander with Andrew Beckner, John Momeyer, and Dylan Scott. All those drivers finishing 1 lap down. Mehmet Karasay, the last driver 1 lap down, followed by Jacob Abrams, Larry Haas, and Corey Thiel.
Was a rough one for a few drivers, that's for sure. We mentioned it's the first time they've raced here in this series, so they maybe still need some time to get accustomed to it. Meanwhile, Tom Layton seems very at home at this track as he's ready to talk to us. And Tom, first time visiting here in this series, what do you think of this Norwegian circuit?
Hey, there's a lot of sentiment toward the track, actually, among people. It's just... yeah, it's kind of painful for like a rear engine car. A lot of like really long corners, just a lot of like patience, a lot of just waiting for the car to turn around the corner. So I think it's an interesting track, but I'm kind of thankful that it's over. I think a lot of other people share my my sentiment too.
I can understand. It definitely is extremely technical, but at least it's pretty to look at. You've now managed a first, a second, and a first. A good way to start the season. And with it being a much shorter one, are you that much more focused on keeping it consistent? Because obviously a bad finish will be a little bit more painful with fewer rounds.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm definitely going to be a little bit busier later on this year. So I don't know how many races of the second half of the season I'm going to make. So definitely going to try and do the best I can this first season of 2023.
Well, next one should be extremely familiar. Road America. You looking forward to getting back to Happy Hunting Ground?
Oh yeah, I love that track. Really fun, really interesting, just because each corner there's no compound corners. It's all just individual corner one at a time. And I think that's really interesting and usually produces some good racing. So I'm looking forward to it.
We are as well. Congratulations, Tom. Well run today. You looked flawless.
All right, thanks. And yeah, thank you guys. Thanks to POC. Thanks to my sponsor, FR Sport. And thanks to my wife, too.
Tom Layton, your winner here today and championship leader after this. Behind him, it was Michael Johnson with a heck of a race. DJ's caught up with him.
I have indeed. And Michael, I have got to ask you, tell me about that defense that you were able to put up against Andrew Shinichi.
Oh, I think fortunately I just watched Top Gun Maverick. So, I mean, I felt like one of the Top Gun students being mauled by the instructors there. But yeah, he was just so fast. and I had the wrong plan. I tried to make a little move on Tom at the beginning, and then he was just too fast. I couldn't get him. So I thought I'd sit back for a little bit because I had like a 2.5 second gap back to whoever was behind me. And then all of a sudden, this new guy that I've never seen before comes flying through, and he was so fast. Wow, it was every bit of defense I've ever put up, every trick. I didn't know what to do because I'd never raced against him before. So I just threw everything out, and well, it fortunately worked.
It fortunately worked for you, but how do you like this track? Obviously, a little bit of an interesting one for you. Not as normal, I think, is the right word, is a lot of other ones, but how do you like it?
Well, if it weren't for the car, it would be fine. This car is way too powerful for this track. I mean, really, it's 500 horsepower, and just it spins up the rear wheels very quickly, and you can overdrive the fronts without even thinking about it. So, yeah, it's in a GR80. Or I was joking earlier. I said we need to convert all these cars to Porsche 914s, and then we'll have a great race, because that would have been awesome. But with these cars with this much power, it was challenging to say the least.
Well, they should be on a little bit more natural terrain next time out in Road America. How do you like your chances there?
I'm probably going to get a DNS there, because I'll be in Curacao getting my Master Scuba Diver Trainer certification, and well, that's gonna make me miss the race. I will watch it. I'm gonna really look forward to seeing you guys call a great race, and looking forward to seeing how some of the newer guys who've jumped in do during that race. But I'll be back for the one after that, Sebring. The night before, actually, I return, so I'll have a lot of catching up to do.
Well, we're looking forward to it, my friends. And anybody you'd like to thank for the run here tonight?
Of course, T-Mobile for Business, Fix Vodka, Sugar Studios LA, and of course, as always, my friends at Truffle Shuffle. Thank you for all your support. TruffleShuffleSF.com. Go check them out. They got a great Valentine's Day offer on now. Absolutely everybody who wants to impress the heck out of their Valentine, go there, get the Valentine meal.
All right, I may just have to do that, my friend. Well, thank you so much, and congratulations again on a second place.
Thanks.
All right, that was Michael Johnson, your second place finisher. And Joe, I believe you've caught up with P3, Andrew Chinichi.
Indeed, Andrew on the other side of that equation in the battle for second place. Andrew, quite the introduction here for that podium fight. It looked like you were being as aggressive as you could out there, just couldn't find a way past.
Yeah, passing was pretty difficult. I think the aggression started to turn up, as the laps went on and on and on. I went into this race, being new and thinking, let's not ruffle any feathers. Let's not, yeah. So, but it ended up being a ton of fun. And yeah, as you saw, the aggression kind of amped up a little bit through the race.
Well, it gave us plenty of fun to watch as well. Have you had a chance to talk to Michael between the end of the race and now? Because has he said anything to you about how he felt about it? Because to us, it sounded like he enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, actually, I haven't spoken to him. I think all I really heard was us both kind of exhale when we crossed the finish line and talk about how sweaty we were. But I'm happy to hear that, he had fun with it. Obviously, with the contact, I just slowed down right away. And then obviously saw fourth place was pretty close. I guess we were, our battling, we'd slowed each other down quite a bit. So, I wanted to let him by, but also not, lose third. Ended up working out well. But yeah, that was a ton of fun to just be that close, and yeah, full focus for 30 minutes.
Well, you may have missed the first two races, but will you be around for the rest of the season, especially after having this wild of a ride to begin?
I'm definitely going to try to. Yeah, this was a lot of fun, and yeah, I'm hoping to join for the rest of the races.
Well, you've definitely made yourself a contender based on what we saw today. We hope to get to talk to you more often, and congratulations on a podium.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for the broadcast. Thanks POC for, putting on the races. And thank you to my girlfriend Rose for letting me take the time.
Andrew Chinichi with the third place today, which is going to wrap up our interviews. So a big thank you to our sponsors once again, which of course includes Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And thanks to the team today, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, website, and merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. As we mentioned, the next race will be Road America, Monday, February 13th at 11 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.